Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Now, Golden Boy, they just put on their first card with their new multi-fight deal with ESPN. It was actually a good card. Marlene Esparza, she won her pro debut. I mean, she should. She was a bronze medalist. Her opponent was 0-3, no wins, 3 losses. So, definitely overmatched. But, I mean, it's the first fight, so we expect that. Michael Connellan, Shakur Stevenson, when these decorated amateurs turn pro, you still, even though they have all that experience, you still got to put them in the right fight. You don't want to give them a real difficult fight, you know what I mean, like an Orlando Salido type person in their division, and they look bad because they're not acclimated to the pro rankings. Main event, Glenn Tapia versus Jason Quigley. In my opinion, Quigley has some things he has to work on because he started off real good, but he let Tapia back into the fight rounds 4, 5, 6. Tapia showed mad heart. The fight was a lot closer than the judges' scorecards. I did have Quigley winning. I thought he was just kind of pot-shotting, but he looked like he was gassing out and didn't know how to conserve his energy. So he has to work on some things as a pro, because that particular Quigley, let's say he showed up for a big fight or a title fight with someone other than Glenn Tapia, like David Lemieux, I think David Lemieux will get him out of there, or Danny Jacobs, clearly. You know what I mean? Jacobs is going the distance with Triple G. So to me, Quigley has some things to work on. He could build from that, but Tapia, I didn't get to do a post fight, that's why I'm talking about it, and it's a Golden Boy event, so it kind of ties into what Oscar got going on. But Tapia doesn't look the same since the James Kirkland fight. Met Tapia, cool dude, like I said, massive heart on him. He did a lot better than the scorecards indicated, but his legs look real stiff to me, and it looked like, especially those first 2-3 rounds, he looked kind of shell-shocked when he was getting hit. And just the defense, you know what I mean? You got to leave Freddie Roach. I know Freddie Roach didn't train him for that particular fight, but he should have probably left Freddie Roach a while ago, and got with someone who could help improve. Once these fighters get a certain age, it's not like their defense is going to exponentially change, but there's little subtle things you could do to improve. I mean, if you have the desire. But Glenn Tapia was he was getting hit a lot, you know what I mean? And I think based on his style, he actually had success in the mid rounds. I expected Quigley to have a stronger performance, because you had a man whose legs didn't look good, who was getting hurt early, and then he came back to rally in some of those rounds and make it a lot closer than it probably could have been. Like the Tapia that showed up, I have no doubt in my mind that one of the more seasoned middleweights, it wouldn't have been that fight, and it probably wouldn't have went the distance, because a lot of those middleweights have power, like the David Lemieux if they had a rematch, or obviously Golovkin or Daniel Jacobs. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't be a good fight for Tapia. But Tapia showed his heart. Now, back to the subject at hand, what you guys seen in the title. Golden Boy president, CEO, Oscar De La Hoya, he spoke with ESPN, link in the description. I've linked to their article. He did an interview with them, and he talked about the potential fight with Canelo versus Triple G. Now, just to get you guys caught up to speed, there was a rumor circulating before the Daniel Jacobs Madison Square Garden fight, which I covered, Boxing Ego, we covered live in New York, and it was a very fun fight. I had a great time in New York for that week, and there's this rumor that was circulating that Golovkin was going to get a hometown fight in the summer, in June, in Kazakhstan, where he's from. Man, no, God, hey, Kazakhstan. You know what I mean? They said he was going to go back home, and Billy Joe Saunders was supposed to be that opponent. Now, Tom Loeffler vehemently denied that there was already a fight that was staged. They said that would be disrespectful to Daniel Jacobs. I don't know. Maybe there's inner working, something they were doing behind the scenes, and he just didn't want to put it out there because, like he said, that would have been disrespectful to the number 2 guy in the division that you have in front of you, which is Daniel Jacobs. But Triple G got past Jacobs, even though it was controversial. He won. Judges said he won. And now they're saying that this fight might be true. It might be a hometown fight. De La Hoya got wind of it, and in this ESPN interview, he's talking about it. I want to pull quotes and then just give some of my thoughts on that. Oscar De La Hoya told ESPN, "A June Golovkin fight would be disrespect to everybody. How serious do they want to make this fight happen? Referring to Canelo, Aiguas, Barn Ready, and Triple G. He could get cut. He could get dropped. He could get beat. You can hurt a hand. It would be too close to September. It would not give us the proper time to promote a fight of this magnitude. The June fight would derail everything. That's coming from De La Hoya, who obviously is in charge of the career of Canelo Alvarez. And he says, how can we take a risk on him getting cut or hurt? We have sponsors who want to begin the promote the day after the Chavez fight, right? So for the full interview, then check the link in the description for the ESPN interview. I want to give my thoughts, man. Straight up, as a fan, that's not even as a journalist or as a boxing personality, just as a human being and a boxing fan. This whole Canelo Triple G saga is getting old fast. It is a great fight. I think both fighters are stars in their own right. Canelo is clearly the A side. I think every single number he's produced being linked to Floyd Mayweather in the fight, and that fight did crazy live gates, and it set history, and that was recently beaten by obviously Mayweather Pacquiao, which was a fight everyone wanted to see. But Canelo's the A side. He's the A side no matter what you slice it. They're saying the numbers for this particular fight with Golovkin Jacobs did 130 to 153,000. And people said Ward Kovalev numbers were terrible. And that happened around the holidays. I covered that fight too in November. And that did more than Golovkin Jacobs. And this is what I told you guys. People kept saying when Golovkin and Andre Ward were closer in divisions, Ward was still at 168, Golovkin was at 160 where he's been, and people were saying that Golovkin is just this huge star and way bigger. It was like, y'all must have forgot, because Ward had his legal trouble and battles and injuries and stuff outside of the ring. And that's around that time Golovkin got bigger and bigger, and he was beating guys, the Daniel Gills, he was 23 knockouts deep, 23 in a row and stuff. And the thing is, people are quick to use that because Golovkin clearly had more momentum than Andre Ward. But me, I'm about reality, and you got to get your fact checkers. If you looked at it, like years that they fought on the same card, like let's say, I don't know off the top of my head, but let's say Andre Ward versus Edwin Rodriguez, and then the same year, let's say Triple G fought Curtis Stevens, right? They did about the same numbers, right? They both did on regular HBO over 1 million, you know what I mean? But Triple G, let's say he had 100, 200,000 more, but it was in the same tax bracket, right? And when Ward came back and fought Sullivan Barrera, same thing. He did good numbers. It was equivalent to, it wasn't in the different stratosphere of what Triple G was doing with Dominique Wade or whoever, Kell Brook, on regular HBO. And some people could argue, oh, the Kell Brook fight happened in the daytime in the States because it was in the UK. But I mean, it is what it is. Klitschko and Tyson Fury happened in the daytime too because of where it took place. That's what it is. That's where you stage the fight. So, US time, there's a time zone difference. So, the bottom line is Canelo's the A side because Golovkin repeatedly performs as far as the venues and putting asses in the seats. People are down to see him live, but it is not translating into that type of viewership when he's put on pay-per-view. You put him on regular HBO, he does good numbers. You put him on pay-per-view, both of them, in my opinion, they pretty much flopped, right? Now, you look at Canelo's live gate versus Liam Smith, a fight in Texas. Obviously, that was the De La Hoya and Golden Boy made the smart decision. That was the right market for that fight because it wouldn't have been as hot somewhere else. But De La Hoya, knowing the business, knowing his heritage, he's Mexican-American, right? Knowing that great fights have been had with Mexican fighters, Juan Diaz and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and stuff. In Texas, he brought that fight to Texas because he knew that's where they could make the most money. So, it's smart. And in doing that, it did like a $5 million gate, Canelo versus Liam Smith, and it had 51,000 people in attendance. Now, you could say, oh, but they gave away some tickets. They did not give away 51,000 tickets, right? It just That's not possible. That's not feasible. I mean, that would be a complete bust. So they probably did, just like a lot of fights, to fill seats. They probably got discounted tickets on Groupon or gave away tickets or whatever they had to do to pack the house. But that, I mean, still 50, even if they gave away 51,000, that's still 51,000 people that are even down to see a free fight, right? You know what I mean? If you want to be stupid. So we know Canelo has star power. We know Canelo is the biggest side. Now, in relation to what De La Hoya said to ESPN, I understand to a degree what he's talking about. Obviously, Canelo Triple G has been, honestly, this, like I said, it's becoming more of an irritant. I want to see it. It's a great fight, but it's really becoming like a soap opera, novellas. Like, it's irritating. I just want to see it. I mean, these guys are closer than ever in terms of weight divisions. Canelo was, oh, I want to move up when my body's ready. I'm at 154, 155 now. I'm not ready. He can come down. And then Golovkin was like, I'm not coming down. Is he businessman or is he boxer? I'm not coming down. And we already dealt with all that. Then now we know Canelo's moving up. He's giving his body a break, moving past 160. So it's just like, why is it so much of a process? I just want to see it. You know what I mean? Just as a fan, let me see this fight. And it's just becoming like this big soap opera. So to a degree, I understand what De La Hoya is talking about, meaning a fight of that magnitude, especially if Canelo, first of all, let's get this straight. If Canelo struggles and or loses, obviously, to Chavez Jr., then the Golovkin fight probably is not going to get made anytime soon. Because, well, obviously, if he loses, then I definitely don't see it happening. But even if it's a rocky performance, like a Canelo Lara, where some people thought Lara won, if it's that type of showing, then the Golovkin Canelo fight suffers. Period. Right? So this, I understand De La Hoya in the sense of, let's say hypothetically, the A side, the favorite in the fight, Canelo shines and he does everything he needs to do and convincingly beat Chavez Jr. So with that in mind, obviously you want to begin promoting the Golovkin fight immediately. However, the part I don't agree with is, you notice I've always been consistent on my channel, and I do not believe in fighters stagnating their career waiting for the next man, right? Especially when there's nothing that is guaranteed. And even if, you know what I mean, even when fights are supposed to be guaranteed, they're not in boxing. Like, for example, Brandon Rios versus Yuriorkis Gamboa. Some of you guys might not have even been watching boxing then, but I believe Rios was undefeated. That was a done deal. That was a signed fight. That was a fight that was supposed to happen. They were supposed to have their press conference. Gamboa does a no-show, and then he drops out of the fight for whatever reason. He says, I don't like that. I don't like that fight no more. After it was already agreed upon and advertised. Jermell Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade. They had a Showtime trailer. It was supposed to be on the Amir Khan versus Devin Alexander card. It was like a triple header or something. Demetrius Andrade was supposed to fight the Charlo brother. They even had his name. It said Charlo versus Andrade. And they did Showtime commercials. And they prematurely announced it because Demetrius Andrade wasn't happy with the money. Fight fell apart. You guys get my drift? So there's nothing for certain in boxing in general. But I don't believe fighters should put their whole career on the back burner waiting for anybody, right? And I think the prime example of that would be Amir Khan. He's done that several times. He was actually supposed to fight Devin Alexander before he fought him, when he actually did fight him on that card that was supposed to have Charlo Andrade. But Amir Khan was waiting for Mayweather polls, and then he wins one poll but loses the other, and Floyd ends up fighting Chino Maidana twice, and then Khan just hung out to dry. He just, oh, okay, just left in the dust. Then there's other times where Khan's like, yeah, I want to fight Mayweather. Yeah, I can beat these guys. I want to fight Mayweather. I want to fight Pacquiao. And then after the Chris Algieri fight, he just waited, think he's going to get a Pacquiao fight. Pacquiao came to the UK, looked like it was going to happen, and then nothing happens, right? So he waits a year, gets desperate for a big money fight, and then he takes one with Canelo, and Canelo was clearly much bigger than him, and it was a dumb fight for him to move up, in my opinion. No rehydration clause, etc. So Amir Khan is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So I disagree with that portion of it. Like, I understand promotional stuff, but with Golovkin, first of all, whether you like him or not, he definitely deserves a hometown fight. He's been an active fighter, fighting 3 or 4 times a year, right? 2 times maybe. I think even his pops died. Even when his dad died, I think he still even fought 2 times that year, 2 or 3 times, right? So he deserves a hometown fight. He's been a road warrior. You got to give him that, right? He fought Danny Jacobs in a tough fight. Whether you thought he won or lost, he still did it in Jacobs' hometown. You know what I mean? In New York, where Jacobs is from. So you got to give him props. So he deserves a hometown fight. And if Billy Joe Saunders, that would be the perfect fight for him to realize all of his dreams and then win all the belts at home. You know what I'm saying? So you can't take that away from him. You know what I mean? And I gotta feel the Team Golovkin side on this, because at the end of the day, Team Canelo hasn't really been neither team really, but in relationship to making the fight, they haven't really put their foot down and say, here's a contract. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you do what Canelo wanted Mayweather to do? Mayweather had Robert Guerrero, and Canelo said, hey, I'll fight Austin Trout on your undercard if you fill this out and promise to fight me next. And Floyd was like, no, I'm the A side. I'm not doing that. We'll wait and handle that business when the time comes after I get past Guerrero. You're not going to tell me what to do. But Team Canelo's not willing to do that either. Put something on paper saying you will fight Golovkin if you beat Chavez Jr. You know what I mean? So what De La Hoya is saying to ESPN, I can't agree with that, because you're asking Triple G to do what he's been doing, which is hold on tight and wait and keep waiting for you. You know what I mean? Because they did that before. Team Canelo said, hey, we want a voluntary defense against a fighter of our choice. You can have one. And they met with the WBC. That was the agreement. And they chose Amir Khan, Canelo's team, and Triple G chose Dominique Wade. And then they both won by knockout. And then they were supposed to fight last year in September. Came time to negotiate. They had 15 days. Canelo's mandatory was Golovkin. Canelo was in court for basically dipping out on his former promoter. I did a video about it, All Star Boxing. And then all of a sudden, Canelo gives up his belt to Golovkin. Like, nah, I'm not with all these deadlines. So to ask Golovkin not to fight, it's just a big gamble, right? It's a huge gamble, because okay, what if he says, okay, I won't become undisputed, because I mean, if he beat Daniel Jacobs, I would favor him to beat Billy Joe Saunders. So not take an opportunity when your promoter's trying to give you a hometown fight and where you could become an undisputed middleweight champion with all the belts, right? Not take that opportunity, and all this under the pretense that if Canelo looks good, which you don't even know. That's the other thing. Let's say Golden Boy is 100% certain and adamant about making the fight. You still got to get past Chavez. You know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't make sense. And like, I know May comes before June, so you could say, oh, but Golovkin will know the outcome of the May 6th fight, but not really, because if he's fighting Billy Joe Saunders in June in Kazakhstan, he has to have a training camp, and that fight has to be booked and staged so both fighters have the ample time to prepare. So he can't just sit around waiting. Him and his team have to decide basically soon if they're going to try to motion to fight Billy Joe Saunders. So I don't know. It kind of seems like Golden Boy and De La Hoya are looking for just almost any excuse to not make the fight, because that's kind of, if a man's saying he could be ready, he could fight this guy in June and be ready to fight you in September, then it shouldn't be, he has the burden. He's the one that has to have all these fights in a short period of time. Daniel Jacobs, then Billy Joe Saunders, and then Canelo. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, if he beats Billy Joe Saunders, he's the undisputed, which would make the Canelo fight even bigger. So I can't really agree with what De La Hoya is saying. If Triple G gets all the belts and then fights Canelo for every single fucking belt at middleweight in September, then that makes the fight even more valuable, more incentive. So I don't really like that talk from De La Hoya, to be honest, because it's kind of putting Team Golovkin in a fucked up position. They can either stall out their career hoping that Canelo gets past Chavez smoothly, and even though they've had broken promises about making the fight to begin with before, and you want Team Golovkin to just like not you know what I mean, take advantage of an opportunity. Billy Joe Saunders is talking shit right now. He's saying, I want the fight, and I'll fight him in his backyard. I'll go to Kazakhstan. So you really want them to ignore that and omit that, hoping that Canelo looks good versus Chavez Jr. enough to the point where the Canelo Triple G, and the negotiations haven't been particularly smooth in the Canelo versus Triple G situation. So even if all goes well with the Chavez fight, maybe they can't even agree on the monetary stuff. So if I was Golovkin, you know what I mean, because Golovkin's team was saying, hey, we don't want a flat rate, and Triple G his team is saying we don't want that $15 million flat rate, we want a percentage. Golden Boy said, no, you get a flat rate, take it or leave it, we made you an offer. And now with Golovkin having low numbers, or not great numbers, under 200,000 in the fight with Daniel Jacobs, which was a great fight and a meaningful fight, now Golovkin, he might be at Golden Boy's mercy even more. They'd be like, hey, see, look at these numbers, look at these low ass numbers, 153K, you ain't no star, we the real star. And they might retract the $15 million and then say it's 8 now because you underperformed in terms of pay-per-view numbers, even though, you know what I mean, the live gate and attendance was straight. So to me, it's just kind of getting messy. Check out the ESPN interview from De La Hoya, but he's saying basically Golovkin can't fight in June. And I think that's kind of dumb because, again, it would make the Canelo fight more valuable if Golovkin has all the belts. And also, it's just like, why should Golovkin hold out his whole career with a hope, no promise, nothing written, that the Canelo fight will happen when it's been this problematic to this point? You know what I mean? So if I was Team Triple G or Abel or Tom Loeffler, I would say F that, and I would really just, if you can make the Billy Joe Saunders fight smoothly and get it cracking for June, then do it. If not, then maybe wait. But I wouldn't really just sit around waiting for one fighter, especially Canelo, who you never know what's going to happen. Plus, like I said, he's moving up over 10 pounds to fight Chavez Jr. That's no give me fight as far as I'm concerned. So we don't know how he's going to look. So like I said, if I was Team Triple G, I would probably just pursue your ultimate vision, which is to unify and get all the belts in June, despite what De La Hoya is talking about. Let me know what you think Golovkin should do. Let me know if you think Canelo beats Chavez Jr. easily. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.